His new tour, Worst Daddy in the World Tour, a 40-city spring North American theater tour beginning in short order, coming to a theater near you. David Cross here on The Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me, Rich.
A pleasure. When you came out here, I saw your hat, and I thought, let's talk about the Yankees. And then I took a closer look at the symbol. And what sort of hieroglyphic is on your hat, David? What
this
do you
is
got there?
a bar in New York. I think it's on its third location now, but it's called Max Fish. Where do I do that?
Max Fish. There you go. Right there.
And it's an old haunt of mine.
So it's an interlocking NF. Is that what it is? Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There you go. Pretty clever.
It is clever.
Yeah.
The Yankees are what's one of the many words for them? Litigious.
I was going to say they're not known for being too litigious, but
so are we? It's all good.
I've worn this. This is 2 specials ago. I wore this hat.
So we're good. We're in the clear.
It should be all right.
We're in the clear.
Yeah.
George Steinbrenner's long gone.
And also the Yankees.
Yay! Ladies and gentlemen.
Also?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you didn't do that. Hey, I think the Roku channel, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, our radio audience returns.
In like a minute, not fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's good. I'm glad you got that out of your system.
Is this beepable? I'm sorry, I don't know the. So I should refrain from the swears.
Well,
in about 30 seconds.
In about 30 seconds.
Got it.
Get him out.
I mean,
Get him out.
I don't know if he should do the George Carlin act in the next 15 seconds.
All right, I'm good. We'll use euphemisms.
Very good. That's maybe, I guess, part of being the worst daddy in the world. Very good. David Cross is here on the Rich Eisen Show. Our terrestrial audience returning in a moment. Official DavidCross.com for additional dates through May, and to buy tickets March the 2nd. You're going to Portland, Oregon, which, by the way, is one of the radio affiliates about to rejoin us right here. David Cross here on the Rich Eisen Show with our terrestrial radio audience returning. And for those who are listening right now, you missed David referring to the Yankees in such a way that means you don't like the New York Yankees.
No,
it's because you're from Georgia, right? Is that your roots?
Yes, I'm originally from Georgia, and then but I lived in Boston. I moved to Boston when I was 19 to go to school, but then dropped out immediately, but stayed there for 9 years. And always was a huge baseball fan, but then just being able to walk and go to Fenway Park became a huge Boston fan. That's my guy Brockman over there. I know he introduced himself as being from Maine, but that's the Red Sox honk over there. Yeah,
so
I get it.
So you still root for the Red Sox now? Or
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be interesting if there's ever a Braves Red Sox World Series. I don't know what I'd do.
Okay.
But
what would you do? Let's hash it out.
I would probably go Braves.
So are you like a Dale Murphy guy from your day? Like, did I hit the right generation
Absolutely.
of you growing up there in the ATL?
What was it, 82 when they won the NL East, and they got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals in 3 games.
Right.
But that was I used to be able to name every single player. And in fact, I've in different shows and movies that I've written and created, I've put most of the infield. I've got Lemke and Blauser were the name of 2 cops in a movie I did. I've had a lot of Pascual Perez was in
Pascual Perez.
Yeah,
I have forgotten his name.
That was a big deal. And I was at the Braves game in '95 when they won the World Series, the last game at the old park, at the old stadium. I took my sister there, and we're both big Atlanta sports fans.
Joe Torre was the manager of those Braves back in the day.
That's right. That is right.
Of the Yankees now that
and
you
then
have now.
That was the year, I think the same year, or maybe the year before, where Gene Garber struck out. I'm spacing on
which
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose
to end his
right.
to end his. Yeah, I think it was Gene Garber.
Gene Garber. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, are you going with a Gene Garber look with the beard right now?
It was not intentional. Not intentional. I'm going for Al Raboski, the mad Hungarian. I'm going to pull out some old.
Oh, I remember. I think he calls Cardinals games now. Al Raboski.
Does he really?
Yeah.
No
remember that act that he had before?
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine like the age of Twitter and everything now?
Oh yeah.
If there was a guy who before each pitch just psyched himself up in some sort of mad Hungarian way.
Mad Hungarian. Al Raboski.
Gosh.
And then when you keeping in line with this day and age and kind of thing. But there used to be a guy, and don't forget, the Braves sucked for a long time. Yeah. I mean, they were terrible. But they had in some of the seats where they didn't have enough people to film, but they had a teepee, and they had a guy named Chief Nakahoma.
Of course.
And I remember Chief, Nakahoma would come out in the full dress. I'm sure some mishmash of like 12 different, Native American tribal outfits. And then he'd come out and he would do like a dance, like a rain dance, but to get a home run. To get a home run? Yeah, it wasn't animatronic. It was a real dude.
Now we have the freeze, right? That guy dressed like in a full body stocking right now, trying to run people down. That's great. In the outfield.
He's great.
David Cross here on the Rich Eisen Show. Worst daddy in the world tour. Okay, so what makes you the worst daddy in the world, David?
I had no idea I was even in the running. My daughter submitted me. Every year they do the worst daddy in the world, and it's done out of Oslo in Norway.
This is a real thing.
And you have to submit a DNA sample. There's like 3 days of intensive questioning and trial and error type of thing.
Yes.
And then you go. I think 2 years ago was Jeff Bezos's plane, whatever that thing is, SpaceX, or no, that's the other guy, Blue.
Yes.
So you have to go on, you have to orbit the Earth for 24 hours, and they hook you up to all these machines, and then eventually it comes down to top 10, top 5, top 3, and then I was announced. It's in tandem with the Nobel Peace Prize, and yeah, I was officially the worst daddy.
I did not know that. So what was being on Blue like, David? What was being on Blue
I was
like?
sedated. I was heavily sedated, so I didn't really. It was very surreal. I didn't really remember. I tried to take some pictures, but it's all just sort of dark.
So why would your daughter decide to put you up for such an award, David?
You have to ask her that. I disagree with her. I will tell her
vigorously, vehemently.
Yeah, I'll tell her like I think I'm one of the best daddies in the world. Mm-hmm. I do go through a list of all the things I do for her, and I go out of my way. She's 5, so she doesn't see it the same way I do.
It's difficult to reason with a 5-year-old.
Yeah, they don't. Logic doesn't. No. They don't get it.
No,
and they're emotional creatures.
Yeah, and very narcissistic if you really want to boil it down.
They're very self-centered. Yeah,
I've got to.
I cannot get her to sacrifice a thing.
Understood. I totally get that. Was
for my sleep, or it's to be all kidding aside, it's like the there's not a ton of there's very little jokes and bits about being a dad or my kid. There's some, but it's mostly my other stuff that I think that some people who would disagree with me would say, you're a terrible person to be a father. How dare you have a child in this world? So that's sort of where it comes from.
Well, everybody check out officialdavidcross.com for dates.
And there'll be more coming, too. We have the first leg. There's going to be 2 or 3 legs to the tour, including Canada and Europe, and that's stuff that's not on there currently.
Portland, Oregon,
the rest of America.
Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington coming up next week. Vogue Theater in Vancouver, British Columbia.
That's where we're starting,
hopping off to Albany, New York. Again, that's just the first couple dates in March. Additional dates, check it out, officialdavidcross.com. It's kind of neat that you're on technically a call-in show because this show is live and it's not pre-taped. I think
that's why I can't swear.
I know. Well, that's probably part of that
the hard way.
But I'm referring to one of the Mr. Show bits.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I'm terrible at getting.
That
always
references?
happens.
You didn't get that?
I did not get it.
Okay, I was sly about it.
People will give me references all the time, and I have no clue. And then they have to go, "It's from your stand-up album."
Yeah, what gives, man? I thought for sure you'd be like, "Oh yes, I know what you're saying." But the bit or the sketch, if you will,
pre-taped call-in show,
pre-taped call-in show, where you played the host of a call-in show, and you had to remind everybody that this is pre-taped.
So call in about a different topic. The topic. We filmed this already. We're not talking about satellite radio. We're
Right.
talking about
Right.
catalytic converters.
Where does that come from? That came from just listening to talk
No,
shows
that
or
was
something like that?
Dino Stamatopoulos came up with that one. He was
Okay.
a writer producer on the show, and that
Okay.
was one of his. I think he wrote two of the more famous sketches, more well-known sketches, and I think both of them came from when he was in. At least one of them, when he was in Joshua Tree Tripping on Acid with a friend, Brent Forster, another great comedy writer.
Because
And
that did not seem like the pre-taped talk show, like something that was
that
done
was Dino.
sober.
That was Dino Tripping on Acid.
That's
Gave us that.
yeah,
that
where you
views.
just got upset with people calling in about a topic that was the previous week.
Yeah, it
and
makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no
It makes
sense.
absolutely no
And then you
sense.
pull over a television set to show what had happened in the previous week, and,
Right.
and it turns into sort of like an Escher painting where you go
It
inside.
goes in,
Yeah.
telescopes.
I also noticed that as you pull over the television set, this was last week's. This is what you should need to be calling in this week. You have more hair with each passing one, as if you were losing your hair over the whole concept
Or
of doing
pulling
it
my hair out. Yeah,
That's-
there you go.
pretty much. See, I caught it. I got it.
Yeah,
Well
sort
done.
of.
No, I didn't.
Well, you
Really?
said losing your hair, and losing your hair to me connotes that you are balding,
Yes.
but as opposed to actively
Pulling it out.
pulling it out.
Well, I mean, I'm part of the Bald Brotherhood, so, there we are.
I'm wearing my hat because I have to have so much powder and anti-shine. I didn't want to bankrupt your makeup department.
I appreciate that. You're very giving. David Cross here on the Rich Eisen Show. We have a segment, if you don't mind playing along, called Celebrity True or False.
Okay.
Where we've read from articles written about you or interviews that you've had. We just want to see what's true or what's not true on the internet.
Now, am I supposed to remember?
Yeah,
I
you're gonna
lie
have
a
to.
lot. I
You're gonna have to.
constantly
You're
lie.
gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
When I have to do press or interviews, the thing about the worst, I just make up. sorry, there's an S word.
Let's go to Celebrity True or False. Hit it. We have great production value.
Celebrity true or false?
Hollywood. That's like Hollywood.
She's like, that's
I
true or
love
false.
it.
Looks
That's
like
old
the Hollywood
school
sign.
Hollywood, and the letters are like the Hollywood sign. I
See,
love it.
You're picking up what we're
Great
putting
font.
down. David Cross.
Great font,
here.
Rich.
Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate that. I walk in every day saying, I hope our guests compliment us on our fonts. David Cross, first up for you. True or false? You were introduced to Bob Odenkirk, who you did Mr. Show with for many, many years, by Janine Garofalo, who tried to set you guys up with a pickup basketball game, but Bob slammed the door in your face when you attempted to hook up with a basketball game with him.
Almost all of that is true, except there was a screen. This is in like the Melrose area, those kind of those houses.
Yeah,
over
here in
there.
Los Angeles.
Yep,
right?
in LA. Yep, and it was he had the screen door open, and he was watching TV, and his chair was like the TV was here, his chair was here, and the door was over there, and I'm standing there like an idiot with a basketball, and like Janine's like my mommy, and I was visiting, and she's like, oh, and I played basketball, and she's like, oh, my friend, and he was. It's better to hear him tell it because he remembers it clearly and remembers being such a douche. But he's like, and Janine's like, hey, my friend David's here. This is through the open screen door.
Yeah.
And, wanted to play basketball or something. And he just sort of turned around and went, oh, no, I'm good. And then it went back to, didn't come over, didn't say hi. Didn't open the
Are you
door.
serious?
Yeah.
That's how you got introduced to Bob Odenkirk.
That was it. Yeah.
And so when did you see him again?
So
after
then
that?
shortly after that, I want to say, let's say 6 months, maybe slightly longer, I got hired to be it might have been long. It might have been actually a year later, but got hired to write on the Ben Stiller Show
Oh,
as
what a great show.
mid-season writer replacement. They brought me in like halfway through. I was in Boston at the time. And then I came out, had never done anything remotely like that. Writing on television, hadn't lived in LA, was a completely different experience. And I didn't know anybody except Janine. I'd met Ben through Janine briefly, but and Bob, again, you hear him tell it too, because he was not nice to me at all. I was the new guy, and I had my ideas about comedy, and he had his ideas, and I was I mean, I really was. It was fish out of water. I didn't know what to do. My self-esteem was like, rocketing up and down,
Right.
and, plummeting, and on an hourly basis. Like, am I good? Am I funny? I don't know. And I think he sensed that, and he kind of exploited that. He was not, he wasn't pleasant.
So if I came up to you at that point in time, say the two of you are going to have a hit show on HBO together for a 3-year run, you'd say, get out of here?
I would say, get out of here. That's that guy? No.
So then what ended up clicking between the two of you?
Well, we had tons of mutual friends, and there was actually a party. And I should say this. Let's say this is the first month of working. He eventually kind of warmed up and came around.
Well, I mean, if you're doing a show together at some point,
and also I wrote a sketch called "The Legend of T.J. Pootertoots," and he asked me to Ben. He cleared it with Ben, but put in a part that wasn't there initially for his then girlfriend who wanted to be an actress. And I was like, sure. And I think that kind of
that helped out.
Helped out a bit. But we had, again, it's softening. I'm talking about the first, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Sure.
And when I really could have used anybody to go like, hey, buddy, here's how things work. And here's, but he was not great at all. And then, we had all these mutual friends, and he was funny, and he came to see that I was funny, and there's a performance aspect to it that you don't necessarily see if you're in a writer's room. But we were at a party at a mutual friend's house. Big, Janine was there. A lot of comics in the scene back then, and musicians. We were at this party, and we were in the kitchen, and we started riffing what eventually became a sketch on Mr. Show about, I don't know what we called it, but it was like the infomercial thing where Bob played the British pan guy. It was Pan, Kiss the Pan, where it just goes off on these crazy, absurd things where he's beating Jill Talley with the pan, and then he goes to fly, takes her, and he's flying away. And it was a bizarre early sketch of ours.
But you connected. Eventually.
We totally connected. When that happened, and we were riffing with each other and taking this idea in this crazy place. It's one of those things that's very rare, but when it happens, and you intuitively know, like, oh, this guy is special. It's almost like an old married, and we are like an old married couple right now, where we can finish each other's sentences, and when we work together, we can steer an idea in a certain direction. But that was the first time that kind of like, oh, wow, we just created this really funny thing.
Imagine if he said yes to the basketball game to begin with. You could have just skipped right to the successful part.
We would have had Mr. Show go on a lot earlier. My career would be, I would have been a younger, oh my gosh, I would have gotten laid so much.
David Cross here, Celebrity True or False. Next one, True or False, Fox executives wanted you to shave off your mustache before Arrested Development started filming. Is that true or false?
That's false, but it's you're in the right area. What it was I had this very specific idea of what Tobias looked like and what he was, and part of it was I wanted him to have a mustache, and I was and I didn't have anything, so it would have been prosthetics, I believe, but we were getting ready to shoot the pilot. It's probably 6 a.m., which means, I've been up since 4:30, 4:45, and, getting to set and gone through wardrobe. And then this woman who was a producer came over and said, Gail Berman, Gail Berman doesn't want you to have a mustache. I was like, why? She has 3 rules for comedy for men. No, I remember this vividly. No mustaches, no hats, and no puffy shirts. And I'm not in a good mood. I'm kind of tired. I'm a little cranky, and now somebody's telling me this absurd, illogical thing. And they couldn't. It was too early in the morning. She wasn't up yet. Her phone was off, so I couldn't call her.
Yes.
We couldn't go.
What gives?
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking? What? Why? Where did the 3 rules of comedy for what? This is insane. And I didn't react well. And they ended up calling a woman named Tracy Katsky, who I was friendly with, who was working just underneath Gail, who signed off on it. So that Tobias almost didn't have a mustache.
It wouldn't have been a totally different character.
Completely different.
Next one, in real life, David Cross, you auditioned for the role of House that went to Hugh Laurie, but later on the Arrested Development creators tried to get you a cameo on House, but as Tobias Funke. And the House creative team nuked that idea. Is that true or story?
You know what? I have heard so many variations of that.
Okay.
I truly don't know. And that would have been behind the scenes at Arrested. I'm sure at some point, Mitch would have gone, hey, what about this idea? And I never said no to a Mitch Hurwitz idea. I'd be like, great, But
is it true you did audition for House to begin with, or no?
Oh, that probably is true. I know I got relatively close. And again, relatively, not like it wasn't between me and the final person, but I know I was considered and got past a couple levels for House and Breaking Bad. I had a really good audition for Breaking Bad.
Really?
And,
for Walter White or for?
Yeah, for Walter White. Yeah. And can you imagine anybody else but Bryan Cranston? I mean, it's impossible.
No, I guess in retrospect, the fact that you and Odenkirk would have wound up working together again.
How crazy would. But I mean, I wasn't like, it wasn't like between me and Bryan. I just got a couple, I got a few levels in where I was called back and then I was starting that process. But there's still plenty of. But
you're unaware that that the creators of Arrested Development tried to get you as Tobias on House.
It totally makes sense. They're both Fox shows, right?
Yes, so, there is connective tissue.
You know what? Oh, I know what it was. I bet they would have. Yeah, they would have wanted Tobias to be an actor in the background, right? And I'm sure the House people are like, look, we're a serious show. We can't have your crazy fantasy world crash the reality of our fake show. Our fake show is grounded differently than your fake show.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Last one for you, true or false, David Cross. Tobias's famous never nude cutoff jeans were bought by the Arrested Development costume design department in the women's section at Neiman Marcus.
That cannot be true. I don't know, but there's no way.
You don't know if that's true or false? Apparently this is...
Are you saying that's true?
We're saying this is what has been put on the internet. That's why we're asking you about what's true.
Wait, say that again?
That the costume department at Arrested Development bought your never nude cutoff jeans in the women's section at Neiman Marcus.
Initially.
You don't know the origin of these shorts?
No, why would I ever go like, you got to tell me, is this farm to table? You got to source this thing. Come on, I want to see. It's got to be ethically sourced.
So then I guess how was this idea placed in front of you for the never nude jean shorts?
That was a Mitch thing, and apparently that is a real affliction that some people have that he read about, I believe. And it's the mind of Mitch Hurwitz.
And you bought in?
Why not?
You bought in.
Oh, I never said no to a Mitch Hurwitz idea. Absolutely, whatever he wants. Yeah.
Was there ever an idea you had that they said we can't try on Arrested Development? Anything like that?
The only thing I didn't get to do was one stunt. I like to do all my own stunts on everything, and
which is that one?
And there was it's when he's dressed covered in silver and diamonds, and he's stalking Lindsay, and then there's a truck that I'm hanging on the side of, and that's the one they let me do all my other stunts. That's the one they wouldn't let me do. Like they wouldn't. Fox legal liability wouldn't let me do that, so they rigged a guy up.
And who was the easiest to crack up on that set, where it just broke?
Oh, that's a good question. I was pretty easy to break, but I would say maybe Will. I would say
he was easy to break.
Easy, and not that anybody was easy. Ben Bateman too sometimes.
Yeah,
I'll tell you something, Rich. Sure. All right, so there's a. I don't remember the episode, but there's a scene. It's a flashback and Buster, Tony Hale, is playing the piano. I'm dancing in my shorts, and Will and Bateman are in the Lucille penthouse, and they're on a table, and Will is cracking up, and Will was literally really cracking up, could not stop laughing. They just used it because it's a quick shot,
Yes.
but as Tony and I are doing our stupid thing, he was cracking up for real.
I
That's
love
a real
that show.
legit
Amazing.
laugh.
David Cross, great to see you here. Thanks for coming on the Worst Daddy in the World tour. Check it out, officialdavidcross.com. If you're in Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Albany, New York over the next week, you can get to see him and go
I'm going to say I think Portland and Seattle are sold out, so you'll have to wait.
Oh, my goodness.
I believe they're sold out.
Okay.
I think there's still tickets for Vancouver.
There you go.
And stuff selling out. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, very good. And congratulations on these shows being sold out, brother.
Thank you.
That's good. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.